on the latest innovations that ServiceNow has made?
Absolutely. So basically, as you probably heard, we're doing a lot with AI as well. And I think when you look at what we're trying to do, we're trying to make work a little bit easier. A lot of the stuff that we can actually do on a day-to-day basis, we can leave up to the computers. It's up to us to understand what we should be doing. Now, HR is a good example.
Do you see any challenges which organizations are facing in getting AI into their ambitions?
We've been doing AI within ServiceNow since 2017, I think. So there's a lot of AI that already sits in the environment, which is a secure AI, and it basically looks around your own data. Now, when you go into the Gen AI environment, that's when you actually open up Pandora's box. And a lot of companies do not make that distinction. Can we? Can we not? Do we know what the security is? Should we allow this? Should we not allow this? And I think it's a balance of figuring out what can we do? What can we not do? Is this native AI? Is this generative AI? Is this sovereign? Is this not sovereign? Does it run local or does it run external? That's where a lot of people are confused, massively confused. And I think a lot of the CISOs, as the security officers, their modus operandi or their standard way of responding is, I don't know it, so I'm not going to allow it. And that's where I think a lot of the businesses are struggling today, understanding how their data sits, what the categorization is, how the security fits, and how the sovereignty fits. The moment you figure that out, that's the moment when you can actually figure out what you can and cannot do with Gen AI or with standard AI.
Great. So how is ServiceNow enabling such organizations or helping to overcome these issues?
So what we do in our environment is step one, we do it secure. Yeah. So a lot of the AI that we allow inside our platform is guardrailed. So we do not go outside, we do not breach confidence, we do not breach NDAs or any of that. But you also have to understand that if you have limited sets of data, your data needs to learn from the limited set that you have, right? So it will take time. You will need to teach your data. You will need to teach your data what you need to actually get out of it. Now, the more data you have, the easier it gets taught and the faster it goes. So there's a balance to be had. When you go into your own environment and you do it in a secure way, it might take half a year, 2 years, but it also takes your organization to figure out what is that data and how should we categorize it or how should we name it. So let me give you an example. If you're in a company and you have a certain application that has a certain name and you're asking the Gen AI for that application name, but you have never said the Gen AI that this is the application that it's named, it will not know, right? Unless you will have a connection outside and it was a standard application that you can find out there. So you will need to teach your own organization and your own language model on how to work with that AI. Now, a lot of the companies want to do Gen AI quickly today and use it for everything, and that's not possible. And I think we're at that stage where a lot of the companies are starting to learn about language models. A lot of the companies are starting to learn what we would and would not do. But also the biggest issue that I see is that where does that budget come from for a Gen AI or an AI, right? Because it's not necessarily IT, because it is in the business, it is in IT, it is in HR, it is everywhere, right? So who owns the budget, who invests in the budget, but also who has the skill to understand what you can and cannot do. And I think what we now see is data lakes are popping up. They've been popping up in the last few years. But what we now see is that a lot of AI prompters are popping up. The other thing we see people struggling with is the skills. If you look at Gen AI, it's a language skill. It's a linguistic skill. How do you ask a question? And it's not just zeros and ones. So the question is also, how many people with AI skills do you currently have? So a lot of the times when I get to C-level, they're like, we want to do Gen AI. And I'm like, okay, how many people did you hire with Gen AI skills? And they come back to me and they go like, none. Like, please start there. Please start there and work your way up. Because you cannot expect the organization to shift if you do not have the skills internally. So what we do a lot, and especially in my role as an innovation officer, I force customers to think about it a little bit more holistically, to get the right skills in your organization first, and then do it step by step. Learn how to crawl first before you run, and do it in a safe environment. And then before you know it, we have customers who have been running this already in a few months' time together with us or together with partners, and they go quite quickly. But it's that initial sense of we will embrace it, we will empower it, we will get the right skills, and then the organization will follow it through.